A nation and the people on the move, keeping you up to date. Belmopan Weekly.
Tonight on Belmopan Weekly, overwhelming support for the 9th Constitutional Amendment as public consultations close. GOB continues to deliver on its manifesto pledges. Belize Telemedia and you, what the company is doing to make sure you're more than contented. These and more top news stories. Good evening and thanks so much for being with us on this Thursday, the 6th of October. I'm Dawn Mitchell. The proposed 9th Constitutional Amendment, which seeks to permanently place public utilities in the hands of the government and people of Belize, has been the most widely debated issue over the past few months. This week, Belmopan Weekly's Ada Herrera asked Chairman of the Constitution and Foreign Affairs Committee, Honorable Patrick Faber, how satisfied he is with the level of participation in the consultation process.
Indeed, under both governments, these consultations happen as they are mandated by the Constitution itself. However, we have never seen this kind of mass participation. I am pleased with the kind of support that we've gotten from Belizeans altogether across this country. I think the record will show that these consultations brought together well over 5,000 people across this country, and for me that is something major. This, of course, you'll have to add to the number of people who have called in, have attended other forums that clearly go either way on the bill, but are on the bill nonetheless, and create an awareness about what is happening in our country. And this is something that normally does not happen in our country, and so it has to be a happy day for all of us who believe in democracy and who want to see this country move in the forward direction.
Honorable Faber also commented on the role of politics in the public consultations.
The democratic process in this country is very political. There are people who wish to separate politics from our democracy, and to me that is nonsensical. That is how we demonstrate, how we show our democracy in this country. At least it is one mechanism. And so to those people who say that, I say, well, we would want to up the level of contributions and give people an opportunity to make more meaningful contribution. It cannot be knocked that the way that these consultations have been held, it has certainly brought about a new awareness about the Constitution. It is a kind of rebirth, if you will, of people being enlightened and people wanting to learn about our Constitution. And for me, anything that goes in that direction is a step in the forward direction.
So are these consultations a mere charade, or will the views and suggestions of the public have some real effect on the substance of what is being proposed? We pose that question to Honorable Faber.
The contributions made by people in these consultation hearings, as well as those people who call in on the airwaves, those people who write in via the Clerk of the National Assembly to the Constitution and Foreign Affairs Committee, their views will be heard. Those views are considered by the committee and are taken very seriously. In fact, I tell people that proof positive that this is the case is that we have a history, certainly under this current UDP government, of amendments being made to the proposals or certain portions of bills being pulled out as a result of the outpouring of views from the people who attend these hearings, as well as those who have an opinion, express their opinions in any of the other media that is available for them to do so. So yes, it does mean that the committee will take these views into consideration. There are changes that the government side is already agreed upon and now only has to take back to the actual committee to make sure that it is supported. And of course, you know, the government has the majority in that committee. So we can safely say that once it goes back to the House, that it will be a different bill. Certainly when we sit down again in committee and we consider all that has been said, we will be making some changes and considering possibilities for any other changes.
For Belmopan Weekly, Ada Herrera.
Following the stipulated consultation period of a minimum of 90 days, The proposed bill goes back to the relevant House committee and then to the National Assembly in its amended form for debate and possible passage. The government of Belize continues to deliver on its pledges set forth in their 2008 manifesto, and this week we'll take a look at one way the government of Belize is addressing the creation of sustainable employment for Belizeans countrywide. Information Officer Claudia Grouch has this report.
Beltrade is the government's leading instrument to promote both foreign and local investment and opportunity in Belize. Its mission is to promote economic development through investment promotion, entrepreneurial development, and marketing and policy recommendations. The government of Belize, in conjunction with Beltrade, is pushing its latest initiative to stimulate the job market, providing at-risk youth with an opportunity to make an honest living. This latest measure aims to increase productivity amongst young Belizeans, thus lowering the crime rate in troubled areas of the country. Ms. Shahira McCoy, the Director of Business and Investment Facilitation Unit at Beltrade, elaborated on Beltrade's initiative.
Beltrade recognized the need for job creation in Belize, and we've been tirelessly working on some initiatives that will look specifically at placing young Belizeans in viable employment. Over the past months, we've been focusing on various industries, looking at opportunities, and we're at a point where we've identified companies that are willing to come in and set up operations in Belize, particularly companies in the business processing outsourcing industry.
Business process outsourcing, BPO, includes internal business functions such as human resources, finance and accounting, and customer-related services such as contact center services. Beltrade has indicated that a group of foreign companies are committed to utilizing Belize as a hub for call centers, among other business endeavors. So how exactly is this happening, you might ask?
Beltrade is working with the Ministry of Education to institute a certification program for the BPO sector. What this is, it is providing young people and other people with those skills that I mentioned before the opportunity to sharpen those skills and to become readily available for those companies that are looking to set up in Belize. As I said, the companies are demanding employees, and the training program will basically prepare them for immediate employment once those companies set up operations.
How soon can we expect to see this, the government of Belize's collaboration with Beltrade, materialize? Well, Ms. McCoy maintains that there's a company ready to employ Belizeans as early as December of this year. Beltrade is offering certification training which almost guarantees employment. There are 9 sessions, 3 in Belize City, 3 in San Ignacio, and 3 in Belmopan. The training sessions start 31st October 2011 with 250 available slots for those interested. Jobs are waiting for you. The government of Belize, making promises come true. For Belmopan Weekly, I am Claudia Grouch.
You can apply for these sessions by sending an application letter with your resume to bpotraining@belizeinvest.org.bz, or you can visit Beltrade's office at 14 Orchid Garden Street in Belmopan. You can also contact Beltrade's office at 822-3737. The information can also be found online by visiting Beltrade's Facebook page. We'll be right back with more Belmopan Weekly in a moment. Stay with us.
Belize's children are not for sale.
Protect us.
Put an end to commercial sexual exploitation.
Let us not, by our inaction, become accomplices to sexual exploitation.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, thanks for tuning in. Over the past few months, the media has been overflowing with reports of the sexual abuse of children. Oftentimes, as a society, we choose to overlook or turn a blind eye to the commercial sexual exploitation of children. Our Claudia Grouch has this report.
According to the World Congress held in Stockholm in 1996, commercial sexual exploitation of children, which is commonly abbreviated CSEC, is sexual abuse by the adult and compensation in cash or kind to the child or to a third person or persons. The child is treated as a sexual object and as a commercial object. This week, the Special Envoy for Women and Children, in conjunction with the Ministry of Human Development and Social Transformation, held a workshop addressing how the commercial sexual exploitation of children ties into the tourism industry and how the government of Belize plans to combat this issue. We spoke with Raymond James Mosiah, the Sustainable Tourism Officer at the Belize Tourism Board, who is taking an active role in putting an end to the commercial exploitation of children in Belize.
Everybody's going to say, well, these are the tours that I have, these are the prices. When it comes to CSEC, CSEC is not as blatant as that. It is hidden, it is hard to detect. It is a criminal activity, and so by the very nature of it being criminal, people are going to be very clandestine in their activities. It is very tragic that it's here in Belize, but it does exist. And we've been working to try to stamp this out because Belize is well known as a responsible tourism destination.
Also leading the charge on the front lines in the war against the commercial sexual exploitation of children is our very own Mrs. Kim Simplice Burrow. She heads the Special Envoy for Women and Children, which premiered a public service announcement she had a hand in creating, and also highlighted a few of the initiatives a consortium of government and NGOs such as UNICEF are working on.
As Special Envoy for Women and Children, I am committed to this issue. My office, along with the Ministry of Human Development, are presently working on the following. We hope to complete the National Plan Against CSEC and launch it by the end of this year. With support from UNICEF, we are currently in the production phase of a Good Touch, Bad Touch storybook. This storybook will aid parents and teachers in talking to their children about sexual abuse. It will also empower our children with correct information about sexual abuse and their bodies.
The Ministry of Human Development and Social Transformation has offered and provided rehabilitation, care services, rescue operations, public education, and many other family support programs as public resources for the victims of such heinous crimes. In his own progressive words, the Minister of Human Development and Social Transformation, Honorable Peter Eden Martinez, expounded further on what the government of Belize is doing to address this issue in our jewel.
The Ministry of Human Development has been working on its mandate for us to ensure that the protection of the children of this country becomes priority for us, given this perennial problem of child sexual exploitation. You will note that in the news recently there has been this abuse of a child, and we constantly hear about children being exploited at schools, at hotels and what have you. And so our government has been very much vigilant in ensuring that we mount visits to brothels, we monitor the behavior of perpetrators, we liaise with other service agencies like immigration and the police department in order for us to make every effort to stem this whole crisis that we are looking at in terms of the commercial sexual exploitation of children.
The Special Envoy for Women and Children hosted this workshop to strengthen the efforts that have been made to fight CSEC under the theme, "Let us not, by inaction, be accomplices to commercial sexual exploitation of children." Mrs. Kim Barrow spoke passionately about her crusade.
When you look into the eyes of some of our Belizean children, will you feel their pain? Will you feel their shame and guilt for the things that have happened to them for which they have no control? Will you understand that our children, not just some, but all our children, are vulnerable to the ills of society and need not only their parents, but all of us to help to guide and protect them? The commercial sexual exploitation and other forms of sexual violence that continues to perpetrate on our children is inexcusable.
For Belmopan Weekly, I am Claudia Grouch.
To catch the criminal, that's the goal of all law enforcement agencies. But of course, it's easier said than done. But now, just as Prime Minister Barrow announced in his Independence Day address, the technological means for catching and convicting criminals is at our doorstep. Rudy Aguilar explains.
I am pleased to announce that the funding to set up our long-awaited DNA lab has now been secured. This is thanks to the United States and to CARSI, the Regional Security Program. Through our local resources, government is financing the refurbishment of the physical space at the present National Forensic Science Service building, as that is where the new DNA equipment will be operationalized. Government is also paying for the foreign expert that will train our local personnel in the new science, and draft legislation has already been prepared to provide for the acceptance of DNA evidence in our courts of law. To complete this forensic picture, a new, fully outfitted, top-of-the-line scenes of crime vehicle will be in country next month. It will have the refrigeration capacity, the kits, and all the other tools to do on-site preliminary specimen analysis. Welcome to CSI Belize.
And, in full compliance with this promise, equipment and materials will begin arriving in the country early next year. What is noteworthy is that not only will this new forensic facility abet fighting crime, but it will also provide specialized training and jobs to Belizeans, as Minister of Police and Public Safety, Honorable Doug Singh, explains.
They've approved the equipment for the laboratory. Those equipment are in the procurement stage. I can't give you an exact time frame, but we expect that sometime in the early part of the year that the equipment will be in Belize. Belize has the responsibility of actually tooling the laboratory or doing modifications to the laboratory to ensure that it fits the standards for the DNA and to ensure that we have the technical expertise in place to actually be able to not just analyze the evidence, but to actually represent the evidence in court, which is something that we are working on. There are some technical individuals in Belize, but in addition to that, others will be trained to actually do this.
Think this is still somewhat far-fetched? Well, think again. As was stated in the Prime Minister's Independence Day address, financing for the start of construction and equipping of the DNA lab is a reality. But how will the equipment function, and what will be the impact of its presence in Belize for victims and perpetrators of crime in Belize? How will personnel be trained in its use? We posed all these questions to the Minister of Police and Public Safety.
Well, the equipment itself does most of the analysis, but it is important to have the right trained technical personnel who follows the proper protocols that are necessary. This kind of equipment is very sensitive. It requires certain amounts of airflow or proper airflow to avoid cross-contamination, and it must be an absolutely sterile environment. So we must equip or construct that area of the forensic laboratory to actually be adequate for this form of very sensitive equipment. The technical personnel, we have people who have actually done some analysis on DNA and some training on DNA abroad, and some of those skills will have to be enhanced. But in addition to that, it is not just enough to do the analysis, but it's to represent that analysis in court and to be able to have it stand up and not subject to the kind of challenges that it can be in some cases.
We were also very curious to find out from Minister Singh what other proactive measures is our government taking in light of the personal safety concerns in the country.
What we are implementing at this point in time is the AFIS system, which is the fingerprint system. So at every police station in the district, when I say every, I mean the major stations, the primary stations in each district, the facility will be there for scanning fingerprints. We've already given the legal opinion to all the departments with respect to what we have to, the protocols we have to follow, and we may be making certain legislative amendments to ensure that we can collect the maximum amount of fingerprints to populate the database. So we're moving along in that process. It's already started, and sometime in the next couple of months I think we will be full on board with taking fingerprints countrywide.
We asked Minister Singh to explain briefly what he wants the Belizean citizen to bear in mind, even as we appear to be in a crisis of safety and security.
In particular, in light of the gang truce that we have at this point in time, to make an initiative like this work requires a cross-section of people in our country, those who can assist us with just providing assistance to sometimes the family members to help in the whole reconciliation process. There are those members of the church, there are those members of social groups that can actually be a part of assisting us in this exercise, and we're going to work more and more in trying to ask people to come out. So in particular in the neighborhoods that are most affected, I think that people who are involved in these activities would welcome other people in the neighborhood much more so than outsiders to assist in the process of making Belize a better place and making their neighborhoods safer neighborhoods.
For Belmopan Weekly, I am Rudy Aguilar.
The construction of the new DNA lab is a direct fulfillment of the 2008 Manifesto Promise, which literally read, "The new UDP government will enhance policing operations with state-of-the-art technology, including forensic science and databases of criminal records and crime statistics, as well as training in the use of these technologies." Up next, it's all about you. Don't go anywhere.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life, as you know it, is completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at www.nemo.org.bz.
Since being acquired by the government of Belize in August of 2009, Belize Telemedia Limited has undergone a complete makeover. Belmopan Weekly's Dorian Pakeman goes behind the scenes to bring you an inside look on what Telemedia has been working on to provide Belizeans with the best in telecommunication and internet services.
The government of Belize took over operations of Belize Telemedia Limited 2 years ago in the interest of the Belizean public. It's only fitting that Belize Telemedia is undergoing a series of changes geared at enhancing the customer experience. Telemedia has bolstered its customer relations department and will not stop short of complete customer satisfaction. I sat down with the General Manager of Customer Services and Public Relations, Dr. Dion Miranda, and asked how they plan to execute such a daunting task.
We call our transformation that we're doing it from the inside out. So we've started with a lot of great things. Last year we started with training, and we made sure that every telemedia employee, whether they were front end or back end, that they were trained on what we call the service mentality. And the service mentality gave them standards, expectations, and how we would actually monitor and measure their success. And a quality department was then installed, and that quality department monitors them physically. We do recordings of call center calls, we play them back, we do coaching, mentoring, so that they are actually achieving the standards that we're expecting.
According to Dr. Miranda, Telemedia has been receiving an outpouring of positive feedback and emphasizes the importance of employees having total access to corporate information regarding products and services as to avoid giving customers the runaround, so to speak.
And we're excited about it because we're getting some kudos from the public, and a lot of appreciation has been coming in where customers are saying, wow, that's great service that we're getting there from our call center reps and our face-to-face people. But besides the training and all of that, we've realized that people need to have the knowledge. And if you don't know the products and the services and what we have to offer, then it's difficult for you to give great answers to the public. So we've also implemented what we call a knowledge-based software, where all of our staff have access to everything that the company provides and the technology that is available out there so that they can also give the level of service required.
Not only are telemedia customers thrilled with the new level of customer service, but employees are as well.
We believe that we need to transform from the inside out. So first thing I'd like to say is that our staff have been very excited. I mean, being trained and knowledgeable and ready to serve. They also know the standards, and so they now know that the Belizean public is looking at them seriously. And we've gone to little things, providing them with name tags, because now the customers know who they're talking to and can actually give us an account. So we're very pleased to know that we're getting great comments. We're hearing that you know, Carla was wonderful and gave us great service, and it means a lot to us because at the end of the day, telemedia ensures that every customer interaction must be a positive one.
I had an opportunity to catch up with marketing executive Lisa Stanford in front of the bustling Estevel Telecom Center, where she shared the latest promotions and services Belize Telemedia had to offer.
So we reintroduced the 128K high-speed internet service, so now customers could come in for that and get high-speed internet for as low as $49 for the monthly access. We have lowered the rate for our 1010-199 international calls, and it's per second billing. So any number that you call internationally using 1010-199, the rate is going to be lower. It's an average of 25% that you're going to save, and as much as 46% that you could save on a call using 1010-199.
I'm sure many of you are familiar with the song, but Belize Telemedia Limited has its own version of the night shift.
The Digicel on-net service for prepaid customers, we're calling it the night shift, where customers would pay $5 a day and they could talk from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. unlimited.
And if you weren't at the Belize Trade Expo, we here at Belmopan Weekly can confirm what you heard is true. Yes, BlackBerry services are indeed coming to Belize.
One of the next one that we're going to be launching is the BlackBerry. There are a lot of corporate and individual customers, you know, wanting the BlackBerry service, and they'll be able to use the security of BlackBerry to do their corporate business, their emails. They'll be able to use pin-to-pin and the BlackBerry BBM, BlackBerry Messenger. So that's one of the other exciting things that we have coming in the pipelines for our customers.
There you have it. Your Belize Telemedia Limited working hard to offer you unmatched quality in products and services. For Belmopan Weekly, I'm Dorian Pickman.
Belize Telemedia Limited encourages you to contact them with any questions or queries with regards to products and services. You can visit them online at www.belizetelemedia.net. Well, that's it for another edition of Belmopan Weekly. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to provide feedback or send in your comments, please feel free to email us at production@pressoffice.gov.bz or visit our Facebook page and let us know what you think. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a great week. Until next time.